Welcome to the list of the most terrifying movies and series about nuclear apocalypse. The titles on this list will show you the world before and after a nuclear cataclysm, chilling visions of destruction, the struggle for survival, and consequences that forever change humanity. Prepare yourself for stories that will make your heart race and your hands grip the edge of your seat. This is not entertainment for the faint of heart.
But this is the story of how it began.
Let's begin with Threads from 1984. This film is a true nightmare on the screen, showing the horrifying reality of nuclear war more realistically than anything before. The story is set in Britain, where tensions between world powers are escalating into a full-scale nuclear conflict. The film mercilessly depicts how the lives of ordinary people are falling apart, from the moment the bombs explode, to the desperate attempts at survival, to the lingering effects of radiation and the complete destabilization of society. It's a brutal, raw picture that offers no hope for a happy ending. Threads is more than a movie. It's a warning about how thin the line is between civilization and total chaos. If you want to see an apocalypse so realistic that it hurts, this is a must-watch. Now let's dive into The Wolf's Call from 2019. This film will draw you in from the first minute if you like gripping war thrillers. The story centers on a brilliant acoustician working on a French submarine whose hearing is sensitive enough to detect the tiniest sounds in the depths of the ocean. But when the world situation begins to spiral out of control and a nuclear conflict hangs in the balance, his skills are put to the toughest test. One wrong decision can lead to total war. It's a race against time, in which tension grows with every second, and sounds become the only way to save the world. A film that grips like the best thriller, with unexpected twists and turns, and an eerie atmosphere of underwater danger. Moving on to The Last Ship from 2014. This series throws you right into a deadly world in the wake of a global pandemic that has decimated humanity. At sea, far from the infected world, the crew of the destroyer I.S.S. Nathan James learns that they may be the last hope for survival. Under the command of charismatic Captain Tom Chandler, they must find a way to create a vaccine and save what's left of civilization. But it's not just a battle against the virus. Enemies stand in their way, who will do anything to take control of the vaccine and dominate the world. Every day is a new battle, not only for survival, but also for the preservation of humanity in a world that is descending into chaos. It's a series full of action, suspense, and dramatic choices that keep you hooked from the first episode to the last. Next up is The Sum of All Fears from 2002. A nuclear attack in the heart of America, a bomb explosion at a major sports event in Baltimore, shakes the entire world. However, this is only the beginning of a terrifying plan to trigger a global conflict. A mysterious group of terrorists wants to ignite a war between the United States and Russia, manipulating the world's biggest powers. In the midst of this chaos is a young CIA analyst, Jack Ryan, who must uncover the truth and stop the impending disaster. Every decision could decide the fate of millions of people, and time is running out inexorably. A perfect combination of political thriller and wartime suspense that knocks you into your seat and doesn't let you catch your breath until the very end. Prepare yourself for the frantic desperation of Miracle Mile from 1988. What would you do if you accidentally learned that in a few dozen minutes there would be a nuclear attack that would wipe everything off the face of the Earth? Harry, an ordinary guy, picks up the phone in a phone booth in the middle of the night and accidentally learns of the impending doom. It's no joke. It's a race against time, in which every second matters. He desperately tries to find his beloved Julie and escape Los Angeles before the city turns into ashes. Chaos, panic, and the struggle for survival in the claustrophobic atmosphere of impending disaster. This is a story that keeps you hooked until the very disturbing end. Now let's explore the brutal world of Homestead from 2024. The detonation of a nuclear bomb in Los Angeles turns America into a hell where the only law is the law of survival. Jeff Erickson, a former Green Beret, flees to the mountains with his family, seeking refuge in the Homestead, a fortified mansion of preppers ready for the worst. However, danger doesn't just lurk outside. Inside the settlement, conflicts and struggles for control quickly grow, as everyone has their own idea of survival. As violence and desperation spiral out of control, Jeff must face the question of how far he is willing to go to protect his family. This is not only a story about fighting a threat, but also about preserving humanity in a world where all rules have long ceased to apply. Get ready for the psychological tension of I.S.S. from 2023. When the conflict on Earth turns into a war, the space station, which was supposed to be a symbol of international cooperation, becomes a battlefield. American astronauts and Russian cosmonauts suddenly receive orders to take control of the I.S.S. at any cost. Locked in claustrophobic space, where every decision could be the last, the crew members begin to lose trust in each other. Paranoia grows, and enemies no longer have to lurk outside. They are literally behind the wall. The real danger comes not only from Earth, but also from human nature, which in extreme situations can be more dangerous than any weapon. In this brutal struggle for survival, every move can be a deadly trap. Now, let's take a look at Z for Zachariah from 2015. The world is almost extinct after a nuclear catastrophe, and Anne lives alone in an isolated valley, the only place untouched by deadly radiation. One day she meets Loomis, a mysterious scientist who brings with him hope for a new life and a bit of normalcy. As a fragile bond develops between them, everything is complicated by the appearance of another survivor, the young and charismatic Caleb. A subtle, suspenseful game of feelings, jealousies, and hidden motivations begins. In a place where survival has so far been the only goal, love can prove more destructive than the apocalypse itself. This is an intimate, emotional story that keeps you hooked until the last minute. Next up is Fallout from 2024. This series will take you to a post-nuclear Holocaust world where people's lives are limited to underground shelters called crypts. The main character is Lucy McLean, a girl who has spent her entire life in the safety of Crypt 33. When her father is kidnapped, Lucy must leave the safe haven and enter the radioactive, dust-contaminated wasteland. Together with a mysterious ghoul, a former actor transformed by radiation, and a soldier of the Brotherhood of Steel, she embarks on a perilous journey to discover the truth about the post-apocalypse world. Filled with action, excitement, and suspense, the series shows how in the ruthless materiality of the future, the line between good and evil can become dramatically blurred. And now, let's revisit Jericho from 2006. If you're wondering what life would be like right after a nuclear attack, Jericho will give you the answer in powerful style. A quiet American town in Kansas suddenly witnesses a terrifying sight, a nuclear mushroom on the horizon. Residents are cut off from the world, with no electricity, no communication, and no hope for any help. In the midst of this chaos, Jake Green returns years later to his family home, where he must face not only the consequences of the disaster, but also his own past and conflicts in the local community. The series shows how quickly normal people can find themselves on the edge of morality, trying to protect their families at all costs. A gripping story that perfectly captures the atmosphere of fear, uncertainty, and desperate struggle for survival in the shadow of a nuclear apocalypse. Prepare yourself for the brutal intensity of The Divide from 2011. This film will throw you into a cramped shelter where a group of survivors try to survive a nuclear nightmare. After New York City is destroyed by a series of nuclear explosions, 8 strangers hide in the basement of an apartment building. At first, they think the worst is behind them, but it soon becomes clear that the real drama is just beginning. Without food, with limited access to water and air, the characters begin to lose their minds, and the isolation brings their darkest instincts to the surface. The shelter that was supposed to be a safe haven turns into a trap where paranoia, fear, and aggression are as deadly as the radiation outside. A brutal, powerful, and uncompromising story about how quickly a person can lose their humanity when there are no rules left. Now, let's dive into The 100 from 2014. This series starts like a crazy experiment and ends like a brutal struggle for survival. Imagine you grew up on a space station where every breath and every meal is controlled. And then suddenly, you're sent to Earth, a place that was supposed to be just a tainted memory after a nuclear war. 100 young people are thrown straight into a wild world that is not at all as dead as they were taught. Hostile tribes, deadly nature, and dark secrets that could destroy them all await on the surface. And now imagine that every choice, every decision could determine the fate of humanity. Is it really possible to rebuild civilization on the ruins of a world that has destroyed itself? This is a story full of tension, betrayal, and a desperate struggle for a second chance. Finally, let's talk about Road from 2009. The world has turned into a dead, ash-covered desert where there is no more sun, and every day is a struggle for survival. In this post-apocalyptic nightmare, a father and his young son traverse the ruined United States, trying to reach the South in hopes of finding a safe haven. Their journey is fraught with hunger, cold, and constant fear. But worst of all is what's left of humanity. Those who survived the catastrophe have often turned into beasts, brutal gangs of cannibals preying on defenseless wanderers. Each encounter with others could be the last, and the slightest mistake means death. A father does everything to protect his son from the nightmare of this world, even if it means making decisions that slowly destroy his own humanity. This is a heartbreaking, brutal, and emotional story of love, survival, and the hopeless quest to save what's left of humanity. And that's all for today. The nuclear apocalypse is a topic that shakes you to the core and forces you to reflect on the fragility of human civilization. Which of these titles left the biggest impression on you? Or do you know even more terrifying movies and series that should be on this list? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more lists like this.